What's up, everybody? I am back again at the Union Cemetery here in Oshawa, Ontario, with another story to tell. I forewarn you now, though, some of the topics in the story might make people feel a little, uneasy, so I suggest that you watch this at your own risk. Today I'll be talking about the death of a young lady by the name of Amber Young. So, where do I start with this one? I guess I will start with there's a guy by the name of Jason Rogerson, and originally he was charged with second-degree murder, and he was granted a retrial, I believe, based on the fact that the original judge had made quite a few errors. The thing about these things is that there's one person here that can't tell their side of the story, right? And I can only really go based on what was available. They had the documents for the Court of Appeal from the Supreme Court of Canada that was available online, plus a couple of news articles that were also available as well. So I'll try my best to tell it the best that I can from what I can remember. So Jason Robertson, he had moved from New Brunswick to Oshawa, Ontario. He was trying to look for work. So he was staying in this boarding house where he had met, or a rooming house where he had met a guy by the name of Stephen Roberts. So now, Stephen Roberts had offered him some work painting houses and stuff like that, and in turn he'd pay him, but Jason would also give him pointers on how to grow marijuana, that he had a few plants in his closet in the rooming house. So later on, Stephen decides that he wants to rent a house and have a grow op in the basement. So now Stephen offers Jason to live in this house rent-free because he wants the house to appear to be lived in and not give away the fact that it's a grow house. So now it was one day in October, this would have been in 2008. Stephen had dropped by the grow house where Jason was living and had dropped off some money for him that he had owed him for painting some houses. And Jason mentions that he wanted to go out over the weekend and get drunk and hopefully meet a girl and, bring her back to the house for, I guess, sexy time. So he didn't leave his house Saturday, all of Saturday, but Sunday he goes out and he purchases about 15 bottles of beer. So throughout the course of the afternoon, he's drinking these bottles of beer, and he probably drank anywhere between 8 to 10 bottles, and he got pretty drunk to the point where he I guess had accidentally ripped the door off of the microwave. He ripped it completely off, and he had spilt some beer in and around some of the marijuana plants that were downstairs in the basement. So as the day turns into night, I guess around 8-9 o'clock at night, Jason decides he wants to go out to the bar, and he goes out to a bar called the Down Omer, which is in Oshawa, which was about 10 blocks from where he was living. So during this time, a girl by the name of Amber Young, she had been drinking at her boyfriend's house, and she also, according to toxicology, they had found some prescription drugs in her system as well that weren't supposed to be mixed together and were also not supposed to be taken with alcohol. So she's drinking at her boyfriend's house, and at this point now, she had been dating this guy for about a month and a half, according to what it says on the court papers. So she also has a 1-year-old son as well. So they have a disagreement over something, and she wanted to go out to the bar. He wasn't interested, so she went out to the bar. So prior to Amber going to the bar, witnesses were saying that they could see that Jason was clearly intoxicated and that he was getting louder and louder and becoming, somewhat crude towards patrons that were in the bar and stuff like that. So it was, quite apparent that this guy was pretty intoxicated. So when Amber had arrived, she was similarly intoxicated, but I didn't read anything saying that she was being loud or obnoxious or anything like that. So not long after, Amber and Jason, they start talking, and they're, having good conversations, they're laughing, they're doing shots together. So at one point, Amber leaves and she goes back to her boyfriend's apartment. Her then boyfriend said that she came back, got something out of her purse, and said that she was going to go meet a friend. And he assumed that what she took out of her purse were some ecstasy tablets, because he knew that she was, selling them and stuff. So as Amber returns back to the bar, Jason at this point now, he's in the bathroom throwing up because he's just so intoxicated. So Amber doesn't see that he's there, so she asks one of the servers, "Have you seen, that guy that I was sitting with?" And not long after, he comes out of the bathroom and they continue to drink. So now, a patron in the restaurant saw Amber buy him a shot and give him a tab of ecstasy, which she said was worth $5. So not long after, they decide to leave the bar and go back to Jason's place. So witnesses at the bar said that when they left, they seemed to be in pretty good spirits. So not long after Jason and Amber arrive at Jason's apartment, or house I should say, Steven shows up unexpectedly. And he said that when he arrived that Jason was in the kitchen the whole time. And he said that he was acting very strange, like very fidgety, and that he appeared to be high on something. Like he was showing the characteristics. He was acting like as if he was on ecstasy. Bugs. So when Amber sees him, she says that, hey, you look kind of familiar, like, do I know you from somewhere? So they kind of discussed a little bit where they might know each other from. She also asked Stephen if he wanted to buy some ecstasy. And he was saying during this visit, she kept bringing up the fact, something to do with $5 that she felt that she was owed. So Stephen claims that she was kind of just acting like she was kind of in her own little world too. He said at one point she started, rubbing her stomach vigorously. And then she opened up her legs and then started rubbing the inside of her thigh in the same manner. He said that she kind of gave off, like, I don't know, prostitution vibes or something. But like I mentioned earlier, there's only, there's one person here that can't tell their side of the story. So now Jason kind of signals Stephen to, to leave because he wants to. So Stephen gets the picture and he says, okay, I'm leaving. So now he sits next to Amber, and Amber puts her hand on his leg. So he takes that as an invitation for, sex. So at this point now, they're engaging in sexual intercourse. And according to him, she suggests that they try butt stuff. Going through the back door. So in the heat of the moment, he agrees, but is a bit worried because he had not been using a condom, like he wasn't using protection or anything like that. I don't know why he's worried now. So now check this, he sees a Ziploc bag, like a sealable sandwich bag on the coffee table. So he decides that that's what he's going to use as a condom. So he's attempting, and his attempts didn't last very long, I guess because he was using a Ziploc bag. So when he withdrew, a great amount of poop came out along with his penis. So naturally she was embarrassed, and now they're going around trying to clean up all this poop using their socks. And according to what forensics found, it matched Jason's story. So they said because, that there was poop everywhere, like there was poop on the rug, there was poop on a blanket, there was poop on some socks, there was poop on her shoes, which Jason testified that were next to them on the floor when they were engaging in intercourse. They found poop on a Ziploc bag that was disposed of in the garbage. So it matched to what the forensics had found, right? Sorry guys, but that's what it said on the the court papers, that this is what happened. So they get it all cleaned up, and somehow they get aroused again. And they, at this time, decide to go to his bedroom. And his bedroom was furnished with a dresser and a single mattress on the floor. So, after fooling around for some time, Jason decides that he grew a little tired of her and he wanted to go back to the bar. So he said, "Hey, let's go back to the bar." And again, now she mentions the $5 for the ecstasy tablet that she had given him earlier. To which he responded with, "What are you, some kind of whore or something?" So when he had said that, that put her in a fit of rage, and she started to attack him with a knife. So as she was attacking him, I think she got him twice in the back, and he had punched her in the face. And he said with that he was able to run to the door, but he couldn't get out through the bedroom door, like it got jammed or something. And she was able to stab him, I think, 2 more times. So now he wrestles her to the ground, and I guess in the struggle she managed to get him in his wrist, and I think another time in the back. So he gets her to the ground, and he was straddling her and was holding on to her wrists that had the knife. And when he was holding the knife, or holding her arm, he managed to get his forearm kind of like over her face, where her bottom lip was pushed into her nose, causing her to suffocate. And on the forensics, that also aligned with his story as well, because they did find that she had a cut under her lip that matched his story. So he said that he felt her go limp. So now at this point, he doesn't know that she's dead, right? She just goes limp. It's also worth noting too that there's been some like medical personnel and stuff like that have accidentally killed patients with this technique too, when trying to subdue them. Their forearm would suffocate them. I think it's called like rapid asphyxiation or something. Asphyxiation. Now I lost my place. I don't know where I was at now. Where was I? Oh yeah, so he didn't realize that she was dead, right? She just went limp. So now he wanted to get her out of the house before she woke up, so he's dragging her. He tries to drag her out of the room, but when he gets to his doorway, he just got extremely dizzy and just felt like really sick. I think due to how intoxicated he was, also the adrenaline of what just happened. So he goes into his bathroom and just starts throwing up, and he gets so sick and he's throwing up so much that he passes out. So he comes to the next day at around noon, because now Steven is banging at the door pretty aggressively. So as he exits the bathroom, he realizes there's Amber there, laying there in the doorway still. So at this point now he knows that she's dead. So he goes and drags her back into his room and puts her up on his mattress, and then he gets changed out of his bloody clothes before he answers the door. So now he answers the door, and it's Steven. And he's telling Steven that, he got stabbed, this, that, and the other. It's unclear whether or not Steven knew that Amber was dead or not, or if Jason had told him that. But he was showing him all of his, Jason was showing him all of his, stab wounds and stuff. And eventually Steven just stopped and said that he just wasn't interested in seeing anymore. So according to Steven, Jason asked him for a shovel. And according to Jason, Steven offered him a shovel. Steven did admit, though, that he told Jason that he should clean the place with bleach to rid of any evidence. This is kind of what doesn't make sense either. Also, too, it was said that his bedroom was only used, he only used that bedroom to get changed. He usually slept in the living room, hence the blanket, I guess, that was there. He usually slept in the living room. So why was a knife? How did she get access to a knife that was in his bedroom? I don't know. Well, like I said, there's, one person that can't tell their side of the story. So now he starts to clean the place with bleach and everything, and he's just trying to hide all the evidence. And he, threw out her clothes. He had smashed her cell phone so they couldn't trace it. He had stripped her of her clothing, and he dug a 3-foot shallow grave in the backyard that was behind the garage. So at this point now, Steven, I guess, I don't know if it's his conscience or he's just worried, is he gonna go to jail for murder? So he goes to the police and pretty much says hey, there's a marijuana grow op, and I also think that the guy that's staying there had killed somebody. So about the next day, the cops show up. Jason tries to flee the scene. And he is caught quickly. I don't even think he made it off the property. So now they take him down to the station, and at this point, Amber's family, her family had reported her missing. So I don't think they had found the body as of yet, but now they're questioning him, and they're questioning him about Amber, who everybody saw him with. And of course, he's just denying it. He's just, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong guy. That ain't me. And then when they found the body, I think he even tried to suggest that it was somebody else that did it and not him. So they find the body, and now at this point, he admits to the killing, right? He admits that he's responsible for doing it, but he said it was not intentionally, and he didn't do it on purpose, that it was an accident. So he goes to trial. I think he was given a life sentence for second-degree murder, sorry. And he got charged with something to do with the grow op, the marijuana grow op, intent to sell, and something to do with something along the lines of desecration of a corpse or something. And he was to serve 3.5 years for that. and then he got a life sentence for second-degree murder. So, after a few years into his sentence, he is granted a retrial because the original judge had made a few errors in the case, pretty much stating that he intentionally killed this girl. But they had found that, like, she was not beaten to death, she was not strangled, she was not stabbed, nor was she shot. They said that her cause of death was quite plausible with his story as, suffocation. Her mother and some friends also acknowledged that she would approach, like men twice her size when she was intoxicated and try to fight them. And her ex also stated too that when it was about 5 weeks before she had passed, or before she was killed, that they were at a bar with mutual friends. And this would have been around the time now that Amber would have started dating her new boyfriend, and said that she got jealous that her ex had smiled at another girl that was in the bar or something like that, or flirted with her, something along those lines. And they had left separately, and he said when he had gotten home and he fell asleep, he woke up to her pounding on him, like assaulting him. So he was able to restrain her until the cops came. And when the cops showed up, he claimed, quote, "She beat the expletive out of me," unquote. So I guess there was a history of a little bit of violence going on there. Again, this is just what I'm reading. I'm not making any accusations here. So he gets his retrial, and at this point now, I think Jason had been in prison for 11 and a half years. He got his retrial. He was found innocent of second-degree murder, but guilty of manslaughter. And he was sentenced to time served, so he had gotten released after. So I believe this guy's probably out now. He's got to be out by now. So that's pretty much the story that I could remember off the top of my head anyways. The whole court case, I mean, you can find that online. It was, I think, from his retrial there, where he got sentenced to manslaughter and time served. I'm unsure of what became of his friend. I'm not sure if they're even still friends. I know he got charged with something to do with the grow op, but I don't think he got charged with anything to do with the death of Amber. So that's it. That's pretty much the story there. But it's sad nonetheless. I mean, that's still, she's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's sister. She was somebody's mother. And she was just a very young girl, 21 years old. Still a lot of life left. So, anyways, we'll now go and visit the grave of Amber Young. There she is. Amber Frances K. Young, February 20th, 1987, October 29th, 2008. loving daughter, sister, auntie, and mother. This certainly was an untimely death, that's for sure. Oh, may this young lady rest in peace. Well, that's it for me, folks. Until another video. See ya.